What are your thoughts on the Bruins?
Man, this was a team that when I saw this on the tracker type of thing, that possible teams we could talk about, I was kind of excited about. I know everybody, I'm not real high on the Pac-12, but this year I kind of am. There's a lot of good teams out there, a lot of quarterbacks all returning from most of these teams in the Pac-12. We know about USC, we know about Oregon, we know about Daniel's team in Washington, we know about Oregon State, Utah. They're back to back, Pac-12 champions. So UCLA to me is interesting though, Christian. 9-4 last year, damn good season. 6-3 in conference. They averaged 39.2 points per game. I believe that put them top 10 in the country, somewhere around 7th or 8th last year. That's a lot of points being thrown around, but that is also the Pac-12. They gave up 29 points a game, put them at 92nd in the country. Need some help on that end for sure, but 65th in strength of schedule. And I believe they lost in the Sun Bowl to a team we just covered last week, Christian. If I'm not wrong, it was Pittsburgh. So here's my thing, Christian. I want to ask you. I know you're gonna dig super deep into the old player stats here, but Chip Kelly's on his 6th year. I think he's been pretty successful wherever he's been, even the NFL there for that short stretch. If you count the 1 year at the 49ers and throw that out the window, he's been a good coach. If anybody doesn't know, he was at Oregon. He was successful there. He brought him to a national title with, I think that was the year they had Marcus Mariota, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a good coach. He's doing something at UCLA. He's turned that program around a little bit. They were kind of the doormat of the Pac-12 the previous few years. He's gotten them better. They've done some things. Christian, I'm going to hand it over to you here because I know where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I mean, last year, UCLA and Chip Kelly, they're coming off of a 9-4 season. Pretty damn good for UCLA, man. I mean, anytime you can get 8+ wins at UCLA and it's not basketball season, you're doing something right.
Right.
My question, Chris, how did they respond with the loss of quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson? He was the school's all-time leader in total offense. He had over 12,000 yards while he was there. He was a 48-game starter. Chris, that's hard for anybody to replicate. To me, and this is the presumed starter that we're looking at, right? This is the presumed starter here. 5-star true freshman Dante Moore. He was the number 4 player in last year's class. Right, this kid can be an elite quarterback. I like what he can do. He's got a little bit of mobility to him. He's got a big arm, but he's really young. Right, he's really young. He's going to a UCLA team that loses a lot of pieces from last year's team. I think it's going to be good to get him some reps early this year because next year they take off for the Big Ten. So immediately, they're going to see a big jump as far as the production that they're going to face. Right. Now, if they can get this kid playing early, maybe could they do something in line with like Ohio State or Michigan? Not a Michigan, but you know what I'm saying, like an Ohio State. Where they're that team in the conference that is lights out on offense, but they get in these big matchups and it's a shootout. Maybe it's very very real possibility, but to me, they're going to have to figure out their quarterback situation this year. It's not guaranteed that he starts the season opener, right? They have a 3-way battle going on right now, and Kelly's not going to divulge anything. He's a professional in that regard, right? The battle right now is between Kent State transfer Colin Schlee, who had 2,600 yards and 17 touchdowns last year, and Ethan Garbers, who was on the team last year and Thompson Robinson's backup. He had 300 yards and 4 touchdowns last year over a 4-game span. I think it's safe to say that Dante Moore will end up playing pretty early, if not winning the job outright.
You said it best. I mean, we've heard the hype about this kid. If he's smart, he starts him, dude. I mean, he's their best option. This kid is really good. I watched a few highlight reels and stuff like that. You can soup all highlight reels of even Christian Hunt up back in the day and make him look like a 5-star. But this kid's really highly touted. People are very, very high on him. No, I'm almost 100% positive he probably ends up starting. If not, he's in right away, 2nd, 3rd game of the year. UCLA's, I don't want to say their schedule's the worst, but they got some tough teams in there, and we'll break that down here shortly, and it gives them the best chance to win this year. So, yeah, he's gonna be a name. Give him a couple years from now, and we'll talk about him a lot, I'm sure.
100%. I mean, he has the potential to be, if he pans out, he has the potential to be a top 5 quarterback taken in the NFL, if everything goes right. Chris, the other side of this too is, and the big question is, who's he going to throw the ball to?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They went out and got Cal transfer J. Michael Sturdivant, who brings some much-needed size. I mean, Chris, this guy is 6'5". He makes you and me look small from that standpoint. Yeah. So he has a chance to become their primary threat, right? He put up 65 catches and 7 touchdowns with the Bears last year. I like that. He's played in this conference. You know, he can do some things. I mean, he can definitely do some things there, right? Running game should be good this year. They're going to lean on transfer tailback Carson Steele, who led the MAC in rushing yards last season. He had 1,500 rushing yards at Ball State. So I want to see how can he translate to this level.
Right. And interrupt here. I mean, he lost Zach Charbonnet, or however you say his name. He's in the Seahawks now. He was a stud for UCLA. Yeah. I was going to say anyway. I'll let you keep going on. I forgot about him though. He had some good seasons there with UCLA.
Yeah, he's another guy that might have a quietly good year this year. You know, depending on what happens with Kenneth Walker. You know, health wise, everything like that. He might get some touches.
Oh yeah.
They also bring back Keegan Jones. He had 500 yards and 5 touchdowns last year. So if everything doesn't work with Carson Steele, the lights get a little too bright, you can lean on Keegan Jones. Chris, the biggest question mark to me that determines how all this is going to do, the offensive line. They went out and got a bunch of transfers in the portal. How are they going to hold up, and how are they going to play at this level?
Yeah. No, you said it best. Offensive line, man. I mean, what are they going to do? I think that's a big question mark this year. Christian, I'll say this, and I'll kick it back to you. If they can put up close to 40 points a game, I mean, that's a lot of points, Christian. I mean, it really is. We know it's a Pac-12. The defenses are softer for the most part over there, but if they can block, dude, and you're going to have to block for this Moore kid. You're going to have to. I mean, he's a freshman at the end of the day, so I'll be interested to see what happens there.
I got a defensive stat for you, Chris. I got a defensive stat for you here.
What do you got?
The Bruins were the only team in the at the FBS level last year.
50-yard play?
Yep, not to give up a single 50-yard play. But guess what?
You still give up 30 a game?
They ranked 110th nationally and allowing gains of 10-plus yards.
Isn't that a weird stat, though? Contradicts the shit out of itself if you think about it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's kind of like, so they didn't allow the bombs because you had Tom Brady back there dicing them up for 25 yards every throw.
Well, that's what they call the true definition of a bend don't break defense, right?
Yeah, they
just
broke. Right?
That's just funny to me, though. I did see that stat roaming around out there, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, there ain't no way that's true. No way. It's funny.
Only UCLA, as we call them down south. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, and this is what makes this all interesting to me, Chris. Kelly is bringing in a new defensive staff this year. It's going to be led by defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn, who was with the Ravens last year. Here's the thing. He's never called plays.
Wow.
So it's going to be really interesting to see how he does in year one. He's going to get a lot of upperclassmen back, especially on the front seven. They've got the Murphy twins are coming back, right? They also get an outside linebacker, and I hope I say this right here. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Latu, who had 10.5 sacks last year. Chris, that's pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. So if they can get that guy going early, that's going to be really good. The linebacker room is going to be led by Mike linebacker Darius Masau, who led the team in tackles last year. Will linebacker look out for Vaughns and a combination of Bryant Struthers to have a solid year this year. I think they can contribute. The secondary is going to be led by sophomore Jalen Davies. He had 3 interceptions last year. Chris, I think overall they should be better on the defensive side of the ball, but how much better, only time will tell.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. Now, I can't disagree with what you said there. I think that's a big question mark. I think their offensive line is a big question mark this year with losing some guys last year, but a lot of it's going to come up to, I mean, we're going to break it down. I'm going to save my end take for these guys here shortly once we get into the schedule. But, I think UCLA's got a chance to surprise some people this year. It does seem like they're the team that nobody's talking about, especially over in the Pac-12. As everybody's talking about the Oregon States, the Utahs of the world, obviously, Washington and Utah and all those guys, or, USC and those guys. So,
well, Chris, I think without further ado, let's get into a little UCLA record prediction here, Chris. I'll let you go. I'll let you go first. What do you think here?
I got to kick it to me. Okay, I'll make it relatively quick here. Here we go. We got Coastal Carolina. That is not. Coastal Carolina, by the way, is not a terrible program, but we're going to give UCLA the nod there. San Diego State, I think they get by those guys. North Carolina Central, we're definitely not worried about them. But big game, week 4, Christian, right there at Utah. That's a tough one, and Utah's a tough place to play. I'm giving a nod to Utah there. And this is the thing with UCLA. If they end up starting Moore, true freshman quarterback, that's a tough road game to go in there. Very tough. So I'm high on Utah this year, so we're going to give Utah the nod. Washington State, I'm giving UCLA the nod at Oregon State. Now, that one's another one, road game in Corvallis. That's not an easy place to play by any means. I'm giving a nod to Oregon State there. So we got 2 losses. Stanford, I think, is going to be terrible this year. Colorado, who I'm ultra think they're going to be terrible. Arizona, I got them getting a W there probably. I have them losing between Arizona and Arizona State here. Christian, it'll be interesting to hear your take on this. And we got USC and then Cal. Overall, I have them going 8-4 this year. And a lot of that's going to ride on the quarterback play. You don't have Dorian Thompson in there anymore. He's not there. He was a veteran leader. He's a veteran guy. I'm big on quarterbacks coming back. If you guys want to check out a conference that's got a bunch of quarterbacks coming back, check out the Pac-12. The teams I all mentioned earlier, USC, Oregon State. Oregon State's got DJ Ungale, or however you say it, ukulele, as Christian likes to pronounce it. They got a bunch of people. Michael Penix of Washington. All these guys are coming back, man. So overall, I don't think Chip Kelly's a bad coach, Christian. I don't think this is going to be a bad season by any means. But I have them pinned at about 8-4, losses to USC and/or Arizona or Arizona State. I think they slip it in one of those games. You can pick Oregon State and Utah.
Chris, yeah, I think, that's fantastic coverage there from a grade A seasoned veteran over there. If you're a UCLA fan, Chip Kelly fan, anything that has to do with this program, comment down below what you think UCLA is going to do this year. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Absolutely.
Chris, here's what I'm going to say, though, because I'm probably going to piss some people off, and they're going to let me know in the comments here. I got them 7-5. 7-5. Okay. Not terrible. It's a rebuilding year for me, but let me explain why I think that 7-5, is kind of where I got them at.
All right.
I actually got them losing the first game to Coastal Carolina. I got them a loss at Utah. I'll explain my reasoning here in just a second.
Oh, this ought to be good.
This ought to be good. All right, so I got them losing at Utah. I got them losing against Oregon State, USC, and a surprise loss somewhere on this schedule. Okay. You kind of touched on them splitting the Arizona State series. Mm-hmm. Maybe it could be there. Who knows? Maybe Washington State or Stanford could do it. It could be really, really interesting this year for them. The reason why I picked them to get upset by Coastal Carolina is this is a Coastal team, Chris, that has a lot of star power.
Yeah, they do.
Coming back. I mean, they've got quarterback Grayson McCall, Sam Pinckney, running back Reese White, and C.J. Beasley are coming back. Jamie Shadwell, however, is gone. Okay, he's gone, but Tim Beck steps in. The former NC State coordinator is coming back in here. That matchup should be a shootout, is what I'm thinking. And if it's a shootout, dude, I like Coastal Carolina to upset them to start the year off right.
Bold take. All right.
It is a bold take. I mean, I'm going to put my money on it too, so don't worry about that because I'm sure that'll be a tasty money line right there.
I bet, but unfortunately, you don't have much money, so I bet a couple bucks you're going to throw at it. So.
Yeah, I have to support you over there, by God.
Yeah, that's true. You'll be putting me in a retirement home here in the next 5 years.
Chris, I think the combination of breaking in a talented but very young quarterback alongside of a questionable O-line, all while having to let a defensive coordinator who's never called plays before, that could be worse than what I'm saying. Could be worse, could be better. You don't know. Listen, Chris, I'm not saying I don't see the bigger picture here. I just think it's going to take them time to get all this gelled together. They might end up being an okay team this year, and then they go over to the Big Ten next year and get absolutely stomped out.
That's going to be tough. I know we haven't talked or touched much on this. It's been a while, but Yeah, it would be. I'll say this about their counterpart, USC, moving over to the Big Ten. Different brand of football being played over there, boys. Different brand of football, Christian.